guys, it's Sam, and today we're going to take another trip down memory lane. I've been doing a lot of these videos lately of like all-time favorites or like past Tome Topple favorites I did not that long ago and things like that, but somebody actually requested that I do a like favorite ships of all time video. And this is just books. And what I did is I went back through all of my favorite and least favorite couples of the years. So that's from 2015 to 2018. That's how long I've done those videos, and figured out which couples showed up multiple times because they would be like, you know, series, or which ones have really stuck in my feelings of the top 5 from each year. So let's get into it and see who like some of the top favorites are. So from 2015 we have Kestrel and Aaron from The Winter's Crime. Now I specifically wanted to mention them in this book because this was the book from that year, but also I found myself not caring for them as much in the last book. So the first 2 books of the series, I really enjoyed them. If you want angst, this right here, I've talked about this book so many times. I'm still not over the pain this book has caused me, but in a good way. Tally's obviously not over it either. She's actually trying not to bark at a dog that's walking outside that she can peek through the small hole in the blinds. Is it important that you bark at that dog? So even though these 2 have kind of fallen in my feelings and I don't think about them so much anymore, this is still peak angst. One from 2015 that is reigning in like the OTP status is the Dragon and Agnieska from Uprooted. I've talked to them a lot over the years. I love these 2, and as I've mentioned before, this book isn't even about them. It's like their romance is like 5% of this book, but the scenes that you get with them are so good. It's sort of like a hate to love, not like, it's more like a frustration to love, and they have like sort of not competing but very different magical styles. Like he's more logical, she's nature, so it's more like wild, and like he's grouchy and she is joy, and it's just, and they are one of the only couples that I've ever considered writing fan fiction for. I won't, but I've considered it. Then we have, which has been recently reignited by recent show news, Kazon and Edge from Six of Crows. Oh man, I also mentioned in my 2015 video loving Nina and Matthias, but I love them a lot in Six of Crows, but they haven't sat in my feelings continuously the way that Kazon and Edge have, and I didn't care for them so much in Crooked Kingdom, and then when some stuff about them was mentioned in like King of Scars. So Kazon and Edge though, man, like the angst and the like the mutual healing they both had to do and overcoming their own personal traumas to then move forward and grow together. I just love them. They are everything. And seeing the people that are going to be playing them in the series, I can't even fully process it. But Kazon and Edge, just the perfect. I'm trying to like think of more words, and I know that you guys know by now that my ship videos are so difficult because I can't properly articulate the way that I feel about most couples that I love a lot. But I love them. 2015 was the first year of Leah and Rafe from the Remnant Chronicles. They actually showed up in 2015 and 2016. They are an OTP. I love them so much. This was a love triangle that I was very invested in, and I knew that my couple was going to be like the good couple. I mean, you could tell from the beginning because actually, like, it could be argued that it was very clear from the get-go, which I believe that it was. So yeah, I love them so much. They're such a supportive couple, and just they also both have their own lives, and the other one respects that. They don't get so wrapped up in one another that like nothing else matters. There's a lot going on politically with this series, but they have each other's backs, man, and nothing gets me more than a couple that like has each other's backs. I love it. Then we have a couple who has sadly fallen out of my feelings just based on how the series ended, but when they were at their peak, man, they were OTP level. Like when they were at, like, my nostalgic feelings are still very happy for them, but I don't think about them a lot. They're not a couple that still like sits in my current feelings and I'm just like, ooh, remember them. Like I just remember them in past tense because I felt that the series went downhill. If you've been following me a while, you probably know what I'm talking about. That is Cleo and Magnus from Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. But oh my god, especially Gathering Darkness and Frozen Tides, chef's kiss, man. It was so good. It was enemies to lovers. It was like fake married. It was, I think there was some kind of like, there's only one bed at one point. Like there's a lot, and it was very slow burn, but then I feel that the slow burn stopped too soon and that there's a lot of things that fell apart with the end of the series. So I think that this could have still been like peak poetic cinema, but it just, it wasn't meant to be. When it was at its prime in Gathering Darkness and Frozen Tides, man, so good. So for 2016, we have Kuru and Akiva. Now these are two that I do think about a lot still, but are not considered really OTP. I didn't like them so much in the second and third books. That's just me, but this first book, I loved so much. And a lot of people don't like this because they feel like it's sort of insta-lovey. It is in a way, but it's a lot more like star-crossed lovers. I am so into it. You know, two people on opposite sides of a war. There's some tropes in here that I also just really enjoy, and they were so good. So although they didn't stick in my feelings in like an OTP way, I still think of them fondly. 2016 was also the year of Rhys and Feyre. Rhys and Feyre, who I do still really enjoy. I also really shipped Mor and Asriel that year. Still bitter about that because suddenly Sarah J. Maas decided to make Mor a lesbian, which was used more as a plot twist, and I'm still very like angry about, not because of the ship way, because I feel like it was poor representation. As somebody who would like to see more of that rep, I feel like she just slotted it in there because she could, because it was very blatantly leaning towards them being a thing. And then I think she heard everyone being like, hey, all of your like characters are straight, and she was like, let's just make one character who like kind of doesn't make any sense to be LGBT, not like doesn't make sense because this like certain characters shouldn't be, just, and like the way that she had written her before was like, what, when you had a character that could have blatantly been ace and or like bi or something, that was right there. That was right there. Amren was sitting right there. So I'm just like, you don't know what you're doing with diversity. But anyway, Rhys and Feyre are still a fave, mostly just from this book. Again, like I feel like there were some stumbling points in ACOWAR. I do still plan on continuing the series, but in this book, peak, there's angst, there's Hades Persephone, feelings. I like it. Is there still some like problems, some like alpha male like shit? Yes, because it's Sarah J. Maas and there's problems and it's problematic, but like also, do I just kind of like skim over that part and enjoy the rest of it? I do, because I'm an adult that can make decisions like that. And in 2016 we have Khalid and Shazi from The Wrath of the Dawn. Angst Factory, man, like it was so good. I didn't love the second book as much, and they aren't a couple that I think about as much because I binge read this series. I think if I were to go back and reread it, they would stick more in my feelings because I was so invested in them when I read this, and then I've just kind of like forgotten over time, again, because I think the second book wasn't as strong for me. But really love these two. Again, a supportive dynamic, an enemies to lovers dynamic. So much good here. Then in 2016, look at how good 2016 and 2015 were, man. Like, so good. But in 2016, we have an appearance of another OTP who then shows up through multiple years and is one of the like saving graces of a lot of my shipping years. But that is Aduin and Iseult from Truthwitch. Oh man. This was the second book, which I think is the one that I read that year. I think I might have read Truthwitch and Windwitch in the same year. I don't remember. But, so good. Slow burn, enemies to lovers. A lot happened throughout just the first 3 books in the series so far, but they were a couple that instantly, as soon as they interacted, I was like, I love you. You are my OTP. Nothing bad can happen to you. You are bonded. I can't get over it. So they are one of my dominating angst couples that I just like live for, and when I reread the books, I just like keen over them. High-pitched keening whenever they're on the page together. And I can't even talk about Blood Witch. So good. Then after the golden age of like 2015, 2016 shipping, and I didn't even mention all the ships that were my favorites in those years, but those were like the crowning jewels of all of them. 2017 and 2018 were more rough. There were a few more characters that would show up because they'd been in, you know, series before, and so that I continue to ship them, whatever. I've already mentioned some of those, but overall with new ships, like not as solid of a year. You can go back and watch some of those videos. It just was like, I don't feel as passionately as I did. I haven't had a good shipping year in a while. 2019 doesn't look like it's going to be like an overwhelmingly wonderful shipping year. Will I ever get back the wonder and joy that I felt shipping during 2015, 2016, I don't know. But Rhys and Feyre and Aedwin and Iseult show back up in 2017, and I think that I said in my video, hot damn, I'm so glad that these couples were here because I can actually flail over them, where I feel like I wasn't flailing as much over some of the other ships of that year. Some of the other ships I did like that year were Tessa, Will, and Jem as a whole unit, as a whole like poly couple, which again, they aren't poly in canon, but I'm like, they basically are because they all love each other. So I ship them as a complete thing, not as parts of the triangle. So I really enjoyed them. Do I think about Tessa, Will, and Jem a lot? No. Am I gonna continue on with the last hours? Probably. Do I read any other Shadowhunter books? No, I don't. They're not like high in my feelings, but when I think of like poly couples, which they aren't, but they should have been in canon, I think of them. This was also apparently just the year of the poly couples because we had Sinite, Enon, and Alabaster from the 5th season, which were such a small part of this book, but they were this poly couple and they were like some of the only times that these main characters were happy ever was in this relationship, and they make me so emotional. And this series is hard and is very just, there's a lot of sadness, and it's post-apocalyptic fantasy and it's just dark, but there's this like moment of like pure joy with all of these characters, and it made me happy. And there's not enough, I mentioned this in the video for 2017, there's like no fan art of them, and I am angry that the fandom has not made fan art of them. Like, how dare you? I need that to fuel my love of them because they deserve it. And for 2018, there's honestly only one couple that really is worth mentioning. There are some other couples that like I liked, but again, they're not high in my feelings. They were only high on the list because there weren't any other couples. These couples like more deserve to be in the top 10, but weren't like top 5 level couples. But they were in the top 5 because 2018 was a shit year for couples for me. I just like, I wasn't finding a lot that I liked. There's only one that saved me, and it's a book that actually came out in 2019, but I read in 2018, and that's the only, and I read it like it was the very last book I think I read of 2018, and that's the only couple that like I really felt like flailing over, like clutching chest feelings, instead of some of the other couples that I enjoyed, but it was like top 10 level, not top 5. So one for 2018. And that is Severin and Layla from the Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. Thank God for Roshni Chokshi, because this was everything that I wanted. So angsty, so like they're characters that have a past. So instead of watching them like sort of getting together, like they have this past and they both don't know that the other one has feelings still. And there's all of these just like really angsty moments, and there's a lot set up for the next book with a lot of angst. I can't even fully talk about it, and I already have the next book. I have an arc of it, so I can't wait to read that. But I really want to reread this, and there's so many scenes that I still think about that and it was like a year ago that I read it, almost a year ago. And I'm just like, hot damn. They were so good. And one of the only couples of 2018 that I really enjoyed. I think I talked a lot more last year about some of the other media that I liked that in 2018, which I might do that for 2019, I don't know. But yeah, for 2018, this was the only thing that really saved my angsty romance fueled heart. So those are some of my top ships throughout the year. I will be doing a favorite and least favorite couples for 2019, obviously, in the new year. That's what I always do. All of my end of year videos come out in January. I'm just gonna say that now because I know some of you start asking like December, and I'm like, it's not over yet. 2019 is not over yet, because if I would have done a ships video before the end of 2019, that Layla and Severin wouldn't have ended up in there, so that's why I wait. But yeah, I'll be doing that. So comment down below, let me know some of your ships throughout the years, which ships have stayed in your heart as OTP status, which ships might have faded over time. Let me know. You know I love talking about the romances in books. It's a fave. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.